All right, very well. I just want to welcome everyone, I guess, for the last meeting on Zoom for the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeals. And tonight is Wednesday, June 9, 2021. It is 6:30 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'll make a roll call. Our clerk, Jim Akabachi.
Yeah.
Richard Semple.
Yeah.
Jacob Morrison. Jacob.
Here.
Okay, and Chris Conte.
Here.
Also, we have our town planner, Mr. Ken Buckland, and independent consulting professional engineer, Mr. Charles Rowley. Any preliminary business, Ken? Do we have anything? Are you right?
No, you're all set.
All right. I want to do council Ishihara. What are you here for tonight, Councilor?
You talking to Jillian?
No, Mrs. Margaret, Council.
She's representing us.
Hi.
Representing the Dan Georgiana, Sharon
Yes.
Chellingsworth.
Okay, all right, very well. All right, so why don't we continue public hearing? I want to jump 22-20 is a little long, so we're gonna jump to the other ones to get them going. Hopefully it goes quick. 18-21, Daniel Georgiana is a special permit / variance 45 Longwood Ave. Map 1, 6:30. Public hearing still open. Councilor, it's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, just for the record, Mr. Sample has attended all these hearings, so he'll be sitting for Veronica's chair and Mr. Conte and Mr. Cruz's chair. So Mr. Sample will be voting on this one. All right, go ahead, Councilor. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. And I had thought that Sharon Chellingsworth was also going to be with us, but I don't know that I see her.
She's here with David Georgiana.
Oh, okay. Thank you, David. So present with me today are Dan Georgiana, David Georgiana, Sharon Chellingsworth. Dan Georgiana, Sharon Chellingsworth are the homeowners, and their son, David Georgiana, I understand, is the contractor. So the most recent plan revision that we've submitted consists of a surveyor's plan, which is dated June 7, 2021, and it's called Building Permit Plan. I just want to make sure that you have that in your packet. That's it. And then the other set of plans are the architect's plans, and they have a revision date on it of June 6, 2021, and they coordinate with the survey plan that was just filed also.
Okay, yeah, we have that. I have that anyway.
So
Everyone has it? Everyone has it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically looking at the revised plans, there actually are two items that had been listed on the building commissioner's letter of February 8, 2021, the denial letter. One of them has to do with the setback. So this particular plan shows the both side yard setbacks and the rear yard setback as being at 10 feet. So we actually have met the existing zoning bylaws with regard to those particular setbacks. That was done to address some concerns, I believe. I haven't been involved in the previous hearings that were raised by some of the board members. So we've done that. The other change is, in order to do that, the proposed addition is actually slightly smaller than I think was its original iteration. So it's about 23 by 29 feet versus 24, 25 by 30 feet. Not a huge change, but it's actually a reduction in the size. The other issue, which I think had been addressed at the previous meeting, coincidentally, I had been at the previous meeting for another matter, with regard to the impervious surface permitted. The requirement there in Onset Village 2 is 50%, and Dan Georgiana had actually done, I'm impressed, the calculations with regard to the impervious coverage, and the figure that you have on the table that was submitted, I think at the last meeting, is actually 41%. So we are below the 50% upper limit for impervious surface permitted. With regard to the building coverage permitted, that's at 20%. So that actually will require variance, as will the 628, the floor area ratio permitted is 25% for this size lot. And we're proposing, if you look at the chart that Mr. Georgiano prepared, it's actually at 48%. But one of the telling things in his chart as well that he did was he compared to all the other abutters houses, the existing houses on the abutting lots. And there are, I think, 6 of them that actually have greater floor area ratio. 4 have less, but not a whole lot less. So our contention with regard to the 2 still outstanding issues with regard to seeking a variance is that this is something that is being done in keeping generally with the existing situation in the neighborhood. It's not detrimental to the neighborhood. And because of the nature of this particular lot being basically along, as is common in Onset Village, of course, being a long, thin lot, that this is the best way to site this particular addition.
Very well. Thank you, Councillor. I'm gonna start by Jim. Where you have.
I'm all set with this. I've heard enough testimony from everybody. I've pretty much made my decision. Somebody would have to work hard to change my mind. So I'll just pass to everybody else.
Very well. Jake?
Nothing at this time.
Very good. Jim? Richard?
I'd like to say that I can't believe how much hoops that these folks have jumped through, and I think they've done a great job, more than I do believe they had to, but I appreciate their hard work, and condolences to the family. Other than that, I'm all set.
Richard? Chris?
Chris, I think they did a good job. Okay, we went from 5 areas that they're in violation, it seemed, or they're asking for variances. Well, now we're down to 2. I think that's great. I think they did a great job with the new floor plans. I think it's a much better plan that they have. They don't have to go outside now to go into their bedrooms, and I think they did a great job.
All right, very well. Any audience, anyone in the public want to comment in favor or against?
I'm Jennifer Hickson, 15 4th Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will not repeat all of my comments that I've said to the board. I know you've all heard it, and I don't need to waste any more of your time. I'm opposed to the variances. This does have a negative effect on my yard, as the house, even moved over further now, really affects my privacy in my yard. A couple of things I just wanted to mention about the letters. So the direct abutters, both of us had letters that were submitted that were opposed. We did not send any letters of people that don't agree with the plan that aren't direct opposition. I just don't think that's fair for letters to be included that are from all places in the neighborhood that can't even see the house. The last piece was just that data chart. I can't speak to the accuracy of the numbers, but all the rest of our houses were built like 100 years ago. before there were zoning laws. And it is the reason, I think, why we have zoning laws to protect the community. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I thank you very much. There was a few letters posted on the website in favor of the project as well. If somebody wants to go on the project, they were posted on the site. I do totally understand Ms. Hickson about I mean, the laws are in there for a reason. There's also a reason why the lawmakers create such a variance, because in most times, in a lot of cases, they don't think the law is fair for that particular parcel. And that's why they create such thing as a zoning board and has the power to to grant a variance. That being said, I thank you for your comment. Anyway, is anyone else want to speak in favor or against? I hear none. Can we move to close?
So moved.
I have a motion to close by Mr. Akabachi. Do I have a second?
I second. Richard Semple.
Second by Richard. All in favor, say aye. Jim?
Aye.
Chris? Chris Conte?
Hey, sorry.
Aye. You said
Yes.
aye, right?
Yes.
Okay, Jake?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And myself, Nazi, aye. Councillor Caris, Councillor, can you do a small draft and we'll review it? And the board member will look at it before we sign it?
We haven't,
Yes.
we haven't made a motion yet.
You need to
Right.
vote, and I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a while. I vote to close, I guess, right?
We voted to
Alright.
close. We voted to
Okay,
close.
okay, now,
Now
I've
we
been
got
out
a
of the
motion
loop
and I'll
for a
make it.
while. You know why I was in my attic today doing insulation? It was literally, I had a temperature thing, 130 degrees, 130. So I'm blurry, I'm hot. So anyway, I'm very sorry about this.
Is there
So
any bats up in that belfry?
what's that?
Nothing, Nazi. It's just my smart mouth. That's all. I'm
All right,
ready to
so-
make a motion when you're ready to listen.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, I make a motion that we grant relief for the two items previously mentioned by the attorney with standard conditions.
All right, so we have a Jim by, we have a motion by Jim to grant the variance as required, and the board believes that they meet statutory requirement of Mass General Laws 48, Section 10. Do I have a second on that motion?
I second. Richard Semple.
Richard, a second by Richard. All in favor, say aye. Jim,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and myself, Nazi, aye. Jake?
Got you.
Okay, very good. It carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I
Thank
will
you.
submit the draft as you requested.
Thank you very much. And we'll look at it and we'll have somebody go down and sign it. Okay, Councillor Moore, and I'm just gonna hold you one more hearing quick before we go to you, Attorney Moore. I'm gonna go to 24-21, Elisa Moore, special permit 2 Sarah Beth Lane.
Hello, good evening.
Is Mrs. Elisa Moore here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can you, your public hearing is still open. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Sure, it's Elisa Morse. It's 2
Yes.
Sarah Beth Lane in Wareham.
Okay. So where do we leave it from there? Did you guys address, there was some complaint from the neighbors at that property? Did you guys address that issue yet?
How do I go about addressing an issue?
Well, you need to go see the building commissioner and have him go there and look at the site to see if you guys are into violation in there.
Okay. So as far as a little bit of research that I did on my end, because I obviously seem to be having a little bit of trouble with this. There is a bylaw as far as 340-4 residential uses, as far as a family dwelling. A storage container as far as accessory, as far as if it's movable, metal storage container of no more than 20 feet in length and screened from neighborhood and public view. That's pretty much what I have. And I've had that obviously, it's been here previous before I was here.
Okay, I totally understand, but when we have a lot of neighbors raise complaints like they did last time, it had, because the permit is not for you, it's for the property. So we have to address it. And there was a lot of concerns that a business I mean, you could have a license for a business there to run a business, but not an actual business. So not equipment, not signs, not containers, not tractors or whatever. So we definitely need to hear from the commissioner. So you're gonna need, go for the request to have him go there, look at it and give us a report. And that's not, I'm gonna pass it to the board. I mean, if the board disagree with me, you'll get your permit. So I'm gonna start with Mr. Ekabachi. Jim, what do you think?
I guess the question is, the complaints are allegations, we need facts. So you're gonna ask the commissioner to go to the site and see if there are any existing violations of the zoning bylaw. Am I hearing it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, and that has not happened yet?
No, somebody gotta go file the request.
Okay,
So last time we spoke to the commissioner, again, to my understanding, he said that there was no issues whatsoever. And if I was mistaken, not the last meeting, but the meeting before, I didn't know that it was, I don't know, my responsibility to go to a commissioner and do that. I thought that I was told that someone was going to come here or drive by the property to look at it themselves. As far as the complaints, you said multiple complaints from multiple different neighbors. So again, and my understanding, I took a ride around the neighborhood to find that there are storage containers within probably at least 15 of them within a 5-mile radius. Now, again, I get it, this is pertaining to my address, but those containers do not have anything business related in them. They're ATVs.
Okay. Well, this
Oh,
is
and
what-
again,
this
I have
is- I listen, let me make it easy for you. This is what's before us right now. If the commissioner said no violation, that's perfectly fine. Have him write a letter for us, and I guess we'll address the issue accordingly. But we haven't heard from him. I don't see him online tonight. Otherwise, personally, and apparently Mr. Ekabachi, I'm gonna pass to the other board member. We wanna see that letter and we wanna put it to rest and finalize this hearing. Believe me, we don't want you back and forth. I wanna ask Mr. Conti. Chris, what do you think of that?
I agree with you. Also, the lease that she supplied was for a residential lease. It had nothing to do with, I guess, business. So I guess I have a concern about that also.
That's fine. I can have a new lease and send it your way if need be.
Okay, and Mr. Sample, what do you think, Richard?
Don't have any comment at this time, sir.
Okay, Jake,
No comments.
all right. Anyone from the public want to comment on that project? I don't hear any. But I think there is some violations there. So we definitely want to hear from the commissioner before we act. And you bring us a good bill of health. I have no problem saying yes, personally. I don't know about the rest of the board, but we do need that letter from the commissioner saying that there's no violations there.
Okay, now is that only, so again, from what I read and from my research, even though that there is a bylaw here that states it right in here, that has nothing to do with, I don't understand that. So actually, to be honest with you, there's actually a storage container right next to my property, probably not even 5 feet.
Yeah,
So how come, is there a complaint about that? Because it seems to be that there's only a complaint about what's on this property.
right.
And which
It's
is from
complaint-
it's my neighbor, Charlene.
Yeah, you're right. There's complaints
that's
about your
very
property,
right,
and
yeah.
that's what's before us right now. I'm sure there's a lot of violation in the town, but what before us is your property right now.
Well, yeah, I just thought I would mention it because it's directly next to me, pretty much almost in the public view. So I figured, you know, I mean,
Right,
if I'm
so,
getting,
I mean, while you go to the commissioner, why don't you file a complaint about that one? See what's the deal on
because
that?
that's, I'm not complaining about it.
Okay,
I'm just
Mr.
wondering
Chair.
if there's a neighbor in the area that's complaining, how come that isn't being addressed as well?
I know.
Is what I'm trying to say, is there favoritism here, or, because that's kind of how I
No,
feel.
this is not, listen, we're not gonna go argue here. We're gonna not start arguing. What's before us, you get our answers. And this is what the board decided, that's what decided. We're not favoring nobody over nobody. And we're not gonna say because he did or she did. So this is the answer right now. So we wanna wait to hear from you on the next hearing on the 23rd, and hopefully get us a good bill of health from the commissioner, and we go forward and definitely give it to you. We have no problem with it if you got a clean bill of health.
I have additional comment.
Go ahead.
So my comment is simply that it's possible that the parties that we had that have declined to be here this evening, but the parties that were online in previous meetings could very well have viewed a storage container that's 5 feet from their property line on somebody else's property and perceived it to be on this property. So I think I go back to our original statement. I think it's very prudent that somebody contact the commissioner, have them go there, confirm that there's no violations. If we can get it in writing, we can make a decision in good faith and be dispensed with this.
All right, very well. Okay, that being said, can we get a motion to continue?
So moved.
I have a motion to continue till June 23rd. I have a second by Jim.
Second.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye. Jim?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Chris gonna be voting on this?
Aye.
And myself, aye. It carries on to the 23rd. So it's continued on the June 23rd, same time. And that this time will be at the town hall, no more Zoom meeting. All right, we're going to continue public hearing 22-20, Frederick Mannix, site plan review 238 and 240 Sandwich Road, map 133, lot 1100A and 1101A. Public hearing is open. Attorney Morton presenting the applicant, so it's yours, Counselor.
Thank you,
Let's
Mr.
hear it.
Chairman. Hi. I'm hoping, so today our hope is that you received those initial civil drawings, the plans from the engineering. We have Brad Bertola here from JC Engineering. We'll be able to take a look at those and go through them. One comment I want to make on the onset is that, of course, these are initial civil drawings. And and as you can see, it's called Crossroads Care Center. So we're looking, that we've discussed a lot about use. And in this district, by right, in the commercial CS district, we have a nursing home, convalescent home, or intermediate care center. And that's what we're proposing here. So we would really like to pull up those plans, kind of go through them, get that feedback from you. My client here is here as well. So perhaps if Ken can pull that up, or if it's easier for Brad to kind of maneuver those things, that's what we'd like to discuss today with everyone.
If I
Very well.
may, Julian, excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
excuse me. If
Just
I
a
may,
name for the, Mr.
yeah.
Mannix, your name for the record.
yeah, Fred Mannix,
Yeah,
and,
and address. Just a quick address, please.
okay. I'd like to go through, as Julian points out, these
Can you
are
add your address to your name
yep.
for the,
188 North Street, Boston, Mass.
okay, very well, thank you.
These are stamped drawings, so we're not going. I would like to just make it clear that we feel that these are the final drawings that we would like to present, and I really would like some comments on the drawings to make sure that I get the flavor of the board and you guys have an idea of the design intent. We made some changes. That these are the site plans. The building drawings are essentially the same. So we haven't. I don't want to take the time tonight to go through those again. I think we've gone through them quite a bit, and we're prepared to give you a full set as a resubmittal. The civil drawings have been essentially the same as what we discussed, but I've made some changes along with JC Engineering, which I think enhances it, improves it a little bit with regard to the neighborhood. And maybe I'm glad Brad is here in case there's any technical questions. And what I'd like to do basically is you guys, you can look at, the board can ask any questions on any particular item before them, but sheets 3, 4, 6, and 7, I think would help us to go through this thing quickly, and I can give you some understanding of how we arrived at this. And if that's okay with everybody, I could proceed with that.
Brad, do you want me to pull the screen up?
Yeah, please, Ken. Sheet number 3.
All right, before we go to 3, 1 second. Let me refresh everybody's memory on that. Now you're asking, there's a special permit for site plan, and you're asking for the variance. Can you, right? You're still asking for the variance for the rooftop or something, solarium, right?
Solarium, yep.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about the variances. I know, which I am the one who proposed to move that landscape and shed or house, whatever you call it. So you need a variance on that one for setback, which is, we know that, and you need a variance for the solarium, right? Any other variances?
There are no other variances, Mr. Chairman, and we moved the maintenance building. That's one of the changes we made. I felt that the maintenance building was a little bit kind of close to the Dixon property, so we brought it on the other side of the access road for the fire truck. I can explain that if we bring it up. But yes, we still need the side lot variance.
Okay. Why do I was thinking, I mean, it's a dead area in the back. Why not keep it in the back and have more like yard or something here?
Yeah, well, you know, in going over the drainage calculations and everything, there's quite a bit. We're able to probably relieve some of the drainage in that area by doing it this way. We put a stone. Yeah, you have that in front of you right now. We have a crushed stone parking area, if you want to call it, a crushed stone paved area that'll absorb some of the water. That's a pretty nasty area down there. It's at the bottom of that big slope from Route 28.
Oh, okay.
We felt it's not a great location, and we could probably relieve some of that. It's not a swamp. It's probably very dry right now, but at times it gets kind of moist down there. And we thought we could help some of that drainage in that area. And moving it over, we had a plan at one time to put the maintenance building closer to the road, but I wanted to keep a big grass area in front of that, as you can see from the plan, and we'll show you on the landscape plan when I get to it exactly what we did there.
All right. I guess what I like personally, I'll run it by the board quick tonight. I would like to sort things out tonight with Mr. Rowley and Mr. Brad Botello from JC Engineering. But before we do this, they walk us through the plans, comments, complaints, whatever. I want to run to the board quick if they want to iterate on a couple of things. And definitely we're going to talk about the variance after, but one thing at a time. So I'm going to start with Jim. Jim, what do you think for tonight? We discussed the site plan.
Yeah, fine.
You good? Chris?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm a little disappointed we don't have a whole package here.
Okay, well, I'm sure it's not gonna finish tonight. So, but Jake?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Jake's good. And Richard?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, very well. So I'm gonna start if Brad shows us in, then we'll hear from Charlie. Hopefully he had a chance to look at him and analyze them or whichever. So Brad, are you there?
I'm here, exactly.
All right, let's hear it.
Brad, do you want to take over the screen?
That's fine, yes, please.
Let's start with sheet 3, Brad. Oh, you have, okay.
Well, I think, Brad, if it's okay with you, do you want me to just explain that design intent? Because we had some discussions, I know with Brian and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
That would be easier, and at the same time, I can point out when you're discussing, so
Yeah,
that the board
Is that
members
okay,
can-
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Be my guest.
So, Ken, if you can bring that up again.
Brad has it now.
Oh, Brad has it now. Okay. All right. Is that sheet 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we did, the first thing I want to start off with is it's been brought up before. The entire site, we've tried to maintain the existing grades whenever possible. And I think we've done a pretty good job with it. And basically, we've had to change some contours due to drainage considerations and some contours due to access considerations, obviously. And you'll see in the grading plan just exactly what was changed. But essentially, it's pretty much the same. We're going to remove topsoil, of course, and bring back some good material. But you can see by the existing contour lines and what we've changed, it's been minimal. I think in the past we've talked about the building being entered from the lower side, so that there's really no much grade change to get into the parking area underground. And then what I did in the north side of the lot at the Plymouth Road entrance, we had a discussion with the Wareham Fire Department about putting in a gate, which they didn't want me to do that. I'm harking back to the neighborhood on Plymouth Road and the discussions we've had about that access area. So we've left an emergency access road, a way to get in there for emergency vehicles, mainly the ladder truck, if it needs to get in there. They won't let me put a gate in, and I kind of agree with that. I can see why they don't want to. But what I did was I eliminated the 4 parking spaces that there were in the prior plans, and that behind the building, if you will, on the north side of the lot. Yeah, that whole area there, we put in some stamped concrete so that there's a good surface for an emergency vehicle to get in there if they have to get behind the building. But I picture that as maybe a little patio area, or just kind of a nice area for the residents to use in the future, especially with COVID and people eating outside. I thought it would be a good spot. And the 4 parking spaces, we eliminated them. And the other thing we did on this, we'll put more landscape. Well, let me not get to the landscaping until I get to it. And then we feel that people aren't going to go up there and use that entrance at all, because there's no reason to. We've left the visitor parking alongside on the west side of the building, and that's remained the same. And we put an ambulance parking in. The fire department asked me to do that, and you'll see, Brad, it's down just as, right there. We put a spot for ambulance parking only, just in case, so people could utilize the ambulance service, and the ambulance could stay parked there, not being interfering with anybody. We also, you'll see in the utility plan, if we get into it, we've added another fire hydrant according to the fire department wishes. And so that kind of is a big idea of we had for the back. The maintenance building, we moved that over, like I said, to make it a better area. We didn't change anything in front of the maintenance building as far as the turnaround for the fire truck. And I added that little gravel area, whatever you want to call it. That gives us a little more ability to absorb some water in that area, and also to park a maintenance truck or something if they, get out of the way. It's just, I thought it would be a good hardscape to have there, because it is kind of a low spot in the whole property, which it's an existing low spot. And there's really no way to get rid of it, because then you'd be putting water on other people's property. So the best way is to handle it there, in that way. So that kind of sheet number 3 shows you that change in the back. And then we go to sheet number 4, which we briefly discussed. I briefly discussed. You can see it if you look at it more carefully. You'll see all the gradings that we've come up with and how it matches to the existing contours. There's quite a bit of existing contour that remains. And Brad could probably explain it more with Charlie Rowley if he wants to, but that's kind of a good, I thought it was a good plan to show you the grade changes.
Right, Mr. Mannix, let me interfere a bit. So everyone knows this permit's gonna need a curb cut from the state. That's a state highway.
Yeah.
I am aware of the state. They might ask you So just to everybody know, you might come back, they might not allow you to 2 entrances, which is fine, or 1, it doesn't matter to us. But I know they're gonna insist on a 50-degree radius entering. They don't like the 30 entering, so you might wanna check with them, Brad. When you coming in, they like a 50, they don't like a 30 on the state highway. So you might have to shrink the island in the front and make coming in a place with the 50. And we'll see what the state says, but I think you might,
Yeah,
it might come up.
well, part of my, I'm sorry.
I think that it would be an improvement because I was looking at some paperwork or an illustration of the parking area, and it seemed like the turns for the fire trucks seemed like they were real tight. So I do believe that that could only help you in the long run.
I think the state will require this. I've done a bunch of projects and they always want coming in at 50. You could leave with the 30, but coming in 50. We'll let the state decide that. We'll talk about it later. So
Okay.
let's keep going on sheet 4. Sorry.
That's all right. Are there any other, I guess this is one of the reasons we want to go over this. Hopefully the drawings are fine as they are. If there's any comments like that. I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that we'll run it by the state. There are some existing curb cuts in the property, so part of my presentation to the state would be that we're eliminating some curb cuts and we'll try to consolidate some of the existing curb cuts that are there and confine it down to just 2.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, be aware to everybody in case you might come back and the state might say, we're not giving you 2, we're giving you 1, which is,
Well,
I mean, that doesn't really matter to the, I think it doesn't matter to the board. We'll ask the board what they think.
okay, and I believe I've considered that. I believe the original, I think it would work with 1 because of the radiuses, but
We'll play it by ear. We'll see
we'll
what
play it by
happens.
ear on that.
Okay,
I
Okay.
add one more thing, Mr. Chairman.
yes, go ahead, Richard.
So if they eliminate 1 more spot, I do believe that there was some concern about how much traffic was going to go on that Plymouth Ave. And now
Yes.
if they're not putting a gate and they're going to limit, if they do have to eliminate 1, is there any way that we can have some kind of signage saying in that entrance and exit that it's emergency use only or official use only? Because it's pretty sure it's going to be a lot of traffic. And I'm just saying, just because I remember.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Part of this is a special permit. We'll take notes right now that we put a sign for you for emergency use only, definitely. But if the fire department don't want to close, they don't want to close. We can
No,
put signs,
Well,
definitely.
I understand they don't want to close, but I'm just saying, just to try and prevent some of the draw leaving. from
Absolutely,
coming.
absolutely, yes, absolutely. We could impose conditions like this and put signs.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Semple, we did that for that reason. I would discourage anybody from driving up there. If there's parking spaces, someone's going to drive up there. That's why I took them out. I don't want anybody using it. I agree with the people on Plymouth, and it's really hard to do because there's a gate system that responds to a siren, a fire siren that'll open the gate automatically. But that's all kind of technology. If they're comfortable with doing it that way, I am too. And that's why I eliminated the 4 parking spaces. There's no reason for anybody to be back there. And again, this facility will be monitored. It's not a standalone facility. People don't leave it at night. We'll make sure that that's enforced. I agree with it. There'll be a signage, there'll be everything we can do to keep people from coming in that way. And it's kind of a long way to Tipperary. If you got the, even if there was 1 entrance on Sandwich Road, it would be kind of hard to go to a dead end area back there and park. It won't use it.
All right, very well. Let's continue.
All right, so that's kind of the site. And then what I guess the next thing we could talk about is the sheet number 6, which is the landscaping. To try to make it quicker here, we got the landscaping plan, which I don't expect everyone to make too much comment on it at this time. I want you to look it over, and I think Mr. Rowley would look at the landscaping plan and also have some comment on it. But I think the landscape architect has done a great job. And what I want to point out is not only the extent of the landscaping on this plan, but the choice of the trees, I've done some research on the trees. We've got a lot of trees that, in maturity, of course, would end up to be 50 feet high. The whole, most of the trees along the property lines are tall trees. They're maples. They're great looking trees, and they'll make the building. I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to do it anyhow. They'll almost make the building disappear. As far as the neighbors are concerned, Plymouth Road's concerned, there's going to be a lot of nice trees in there and nice plantings. We also had a comment at one point, I believe, from the building commissioner, who's probably not here tonight, about a buffer zone next to there's only one area there that has on the side of the building near Plymouth Road, there's a house there, and we put those trees are about 45 feet tall, and they spread mostly on the property, and there's a whole bunch of screening, arborvitae screening there to make sure that there's a full set of plantings to make sure that area there is pretty well screened. We also put some screening and some trees, some nice trees over by the side. It's Upper Cape Realty is a commercial building, but I felt that there should be some trees there. There's a couple of nice trees that already exist on the property that are going to remain. And we also will try to preserve any trees that we can. We took a walk through. I got to tell the board right now, I'm upfront about everything. We took a walk through. Some of the trees that are there are in pretty tough shape. But we've got a note on the plan that an arborist would go take a look at it. And if we can preserve any tree, we will. Yeah, if we can't, we anticipate putting in replacement trees that of a like kind. At some point, they'll mature into a great looking tree.
Okay.
The sheet number 7 is the lighting plan. It's pretty self-explanatory, but all the lighting, according to the lighting consultant, is to remain on site. There's very little spillage, if you will. And then with the planting, if you take the lighting plan and you look at the landscaping plan, you'll see that there'll be very little interference in the neighborhood with lighting. And that's the whole idea. But we feel that this will be good looking and it'll be safe. You got to have enough lighting, of course, for safety and for maneuverability. But I think he's come up with a good plan there. And I guess those 4 sheets as part of the package are something that I hope that if there's any comment that be made as to my design intent and what we've come up with. I think JC Engineering's come up with a good job on the drainage. And by the way, we do have full drainage calculations based on these plans. And if it's only some minor changes that come up tonight, we'll make them. If not, we're ready to submit these plans as part of the package, and maybe even before the package, if Mr. Raleigh would like to see them sooner.
Okay, Charlie, did you have a chance to look at those?
Mr. Chairman, I only picked the plans up today. This is the first that I've seen the plans.
Okay.
So I don't have any real comments tonight. I'm going to have to go through the plan set and do my report as I customarily do. There is one question that I have. Maybe the plans are available just to compare. Going back to the elevation views of the building, looking at the building from Sandwich Road, do they conform to the grading plan now that you have? Do the elevations of that building sort of conform to the current grading?
Yes, they do, Charlie. We didn't change anything basically on the site plan from what was submitted before, except for relocating the ambulance. Most of it was a result of comments that were made. And then the latest thing I came up with was the parking in the back. The use item, the parking requirement is not really listed except for nursing home, which is 1 space for every 4 beds. And there's a parking plan in there that I don't expect you to comment on it right now. You got time to look at it. Those are stamped plans. Those are the plans we'd like to submit to you. And the parking
I've
plan,
already got them. I already have them.
Oh, you have them? Yeah, no, but I mean, those are the plans we'd like to submit as a final submittal, if it's okay. And then the parking, there's 48 spaces in the building, so you can't really cut that down. And we left the parking outside. We have 60 parking spaces, which is well above intermediate care, but there's really no way to cut it down. We need some parking for visitors. And like I said, there's 48 spaces in the building, and we feel that most of any employees and people that are residents there there'd be more than enough parking in the building. I can't cut half the building off, so that's how many parking spaces we're providing.
Okay, that's okay to know, but my concern was whether or not, do you have a copy of the elevation plans that show what the face of the building looks like? If they haven't changed since day one, then if you've got a copy, you could give me a PDF on it.
Let me say so. I don't think it's gonna change because they still have a good 8 feet from beginning to start, so it's still gonna look like a step, look like a basement kind of.
Well, I understand that, and I just wanted to compare it. That's all, because to me, the grading plan and the site plan as a whole works with the building, and it's part of what you need to make a determination on with respect to the variance and so forth.
Right.
So when if I'm looking at that plan and looking at the change in grading,
That doesn't work, yeah.
that's nowhere near like what the grading plan shows. So
Correct.
I will be comparing the two.
Right, it's gotta, Mr. Mannix, I think you gotta give the site plan to your architect and draft this facade accordingly. So it's gonna look like Charlie's saying, it's gonna look pretty much like the steps at the end. It's definitely, you get 8 feet difference on your grade here. So you definitely have somewhere another floor showing or less showing. So, do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I know what you're saying, but I'm looking at the drawing, and it shows the site dipping down. It's not that sharp. You can see there's a retaining wall. I'll compare them. This is why I wanted to get this drawing in, because it's a civil engineer's drawing, and I will compare them. We haven't combined the two of them together. I wanted to.
There's no way that facade will fit in that site plan. No way. There's no 8 feet in here. With all due respect, I mean, I know you're building, but there's no way this fits here.
I think
it's a whole floor. 8 feet is a whole floor.
The other part of it too, Mr. Chairman, would be that the site plan really doesn't reflect what the site will look like, because there's a driveway that's right up against the face of the building. There's some other features that would be a part of the what you actually would see. This is very clean, very neat, very simple drawing, but it does not reflect what the grading plan shows or any of the details of the site plan. So it might be good somehow to incorporate some of that, so you get a better sense of what the variance request is really for.
Correct.
Correct. But I will, in the meantime, I will go through the set of plans, and depending on if and when you continue this public hearing, I'll get my comments into you as soon as I can.
All right, very well. But Mr. Mannix, it's definitely your architect gonna have to revise those plans and show the entrance of the garage. It's a little different on the site plan, so it's gonna reflect exactly the facade with the site plan showing. So at one point on that plan, you're gonna add another floor or deduct a floor. I don't know which way she's gonna pick. So you just gotta be careful how you pick it, so you're not asking for another variance for heights, because we do take an average, so we don't go from the lowest for heights, we go for average.
Mr. Chairman, I understand what you're saying.
We need elevations.
Pardon me?
Bottom line is we need elevations. We need architectural elevations. That's the bottom line.
Okay, I think the elevations are on the drawing on Brad, maybe you can help me out here. Sheet number 4 has the elevations of the retaining walls. It has the elevations of the road, and I I don't see it. I don't quite see 8 feet, but yeah, it's
I understand what the board and the review engineer is stating.
okay.
Just pointing to an area where, yes, there is a driveway that crosses the front of the building. It's not depicted on this elevation view. And
Right.
the
No,
ele-
that's right. Okay.
so the grade drops across the face of the building. So more, there are some retaining walls across the front that step with the driveway. But in this location here, or this portion of the building, I would expect to see either a more retaining wall or more lower level facade exposure besides the little area that we have here. It could obviously be,
Okay.
a few feet taller here than what's shown here. So yes, we understand, and that's something that we could address.
We'll clarify that up for you, Charlie. What it is the foundation isn't going to show. The planter is designed to come across the whole front and be kind of as it's depicted right here in this drawing. That's the idea, is the planter. If you look at that drawing carefully, the planter starts almost in the ground and is exposed maybe 4 feet at the end at that last porch. Brad, if you got the pointer, right where you are, right there. So
I understand what you're saying, but
Yep.
it has, in order for it to be effective, that the board can make its decision, it needs to be able to look at something and see
I
what's
agree.
actually going to be there.
that's
And it will not look like this by a long stretch. So it really needs to be adjusted, I believe. The board can make up its mind whether it wants a more detailed view. I'll take a look at the information that I have, compare it to this drawing, if that's the one of record, and make my comments appropriately. Try to point out some of the things that I think need to be addressed. Mr. Chairman, there's only one other thing that I will make comment on in my report. I don't expect any kind of detailed information on it right now, but what does concern me greatly is the number of parking spaces that are on the lower level below all of the living space, with only one entrance in and out. And I don't know whether the floor plans or the detailed plans of the building reflect any kind of exhaust system or anything that will be necessary, because you cannot have a buildup of carbon monoxide in that area. So I'm not after an explanation now, but if it hasn't been detailed or thought about, I think that's very important in terms of the overall concept that has been put forth.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's something when they bring down, when the architect, they're gonna get a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and all these issues gonna be addressed, and the building commissioner has to approve. I think it's out of our jurisdiction anyway. It's a building code matter, but it's definitely gonna need a mechanical engineer to address these. And whatever, I'm sure they're gonna have to be drafts, fans, and they might need to inject some oxygen at the end. That's a long stretch. I don't know, but that's up to the mechanical engineer who's gonna do that.
Well, if it turns out that it's out of our jurisdiction, that's fine, but I just feel it's an extremely important issue that we certainly don't want to, at least from my perspective, I don't want to make any sort of a comment or recommendation on this without knowing that that's really been looked at, and that some sort of approval isn't given on the assumption that that will happen. Maybe when they get into it in detail, they'll find that they'll have to revise the parking plan or revise something. I have no idea.
Right.
There's no way to try and second guess it to begin with. So I'm only pointing it out as a real concern at this point without sufficient information to know exactly how that'll take place.
Right. Well, I guaranteed you also the board is gonna make any comments on it. We'll leave it to the engineer and the commissioner to decide. We're not gonna agree on it or disagree. Whoever is mechanical engineer studying the flow and the smoke and the carbon monoxide, he has to put his stamp on it. If he says it's a go, we're gonna approve what he does. We're not recommend anything on that matter because we don't want to be liable for it. And this is their job anyway. If he says that works, we have no say actually. So
Understood.
we'll leave the commissioner decide. Him and the commissioner will have to sort these things out as well as the fire department.
Understood. I just wanted to make mention of it at this point. That's all.
Very well.
Mr. Rowley, I'd like to address you at this time.
Go ahead.
You can't unring a bell. And as you point out, you don't have any expertise in this matter. So I would appreciate it.
Mr. Mannix, he's our consultant. He could voice out anything. But we're not gonna point fingers here. Let's.
I'm not-
Sir, listen.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not gonna. Please. I don't allow this on this board.
Okay.
Let's not
All right.
point fingers. Let's work positively here. We're not gonna point fingers. It's not a place, especially a project like this. We're not building a fence here. So we're not gonna be he said, she said in this project. So that being said, I'm gonna start with the board and see how they feel about it, and we're gonna talk a little bit quick about the values. Jim, what do you think, buddy?
I'm happy. I'm fine with everything I've seen this far. As everybody knows, I'm fine with the project overall. I agree that we need I mean, this is a conceptual, what's on the screen right now, the color picture is a conceptual, it'll look something like this type thing. We need an actual front, rear, side, north, south, east, west elevations.
Yep.
You know, we need to see them. I get it. Other than that, keep on plugging.
All right, Chris, what do you think, bud?
I think we've been going at this since September 23rd. And it keeps going on and on and on. We keep postponing it. I'm very disappointed that we didn't get a whole set of plans. I think the building is way too massive. As I've said before, I think, I don't know. Now we have a different use. Before it was assisted living. Now we're doing a care center. So I guess I'm not sure what the rooms, we haven't seen floor plans. It's just, I don't know.
Right, let me explain something. We didn't postpone. The applicants came, I have to admit, he came in good faith and presented his thing, and he wanted inputs. So it went back and forth. It's not like we drag our feet or the applicant drag their feet. So, and then we asked him to do site plan, which he did. I think right now we're in the right path. So I think this is good. We're doing the right thing. The applicant hopefully go back to his architect, give us, apparently he's listening to this. And the site plan looks good. We're gonna hear from Mr. Rowley next time. We need definitely buildings, layout, the room size, the final details of the facades, the entrances, all these things. So this is the architect's job to do. Richard, what do you think?
I'm fine right now. Everybody's pretty much covering the concerns. Thank you.
All right, very good. And Jake?
Yeah, nothing at this time.
All right. Let me jump quick to the public. We haven't asked. If anyone in the public want to speak in favor against this project, is anyone here? I hear none. All right. That being said, so let's make a plan here. So Mr. Rowley will look at this next week. He will look at the calcs for the drainage. He'll come back to us on that matter. Also, Mr. Mannix will be working on the architectural plan for next time we meet. Now we want the attorney to talk a little bit about the variances. The two variances. I believe I'm all for the maintenance building for that variance. Well, let's discuss two variances at a time. So we're gonna do the easy one right now. How does the board feel about the what do you call this one? The maintenance building. The applicant asking for a setback variance. How does the board feel about this one? Jimmy, what do you think of this?
Again,
are you good with that? Does it bother you?
no,
You don't like it?
because of my local knowledge, don't forget, for some teen years, I was the manager of that little Upper Cape Realty office. I know the land there as well as anyone. So I have no problem with that building sitting there. I understand what's between that building and the highway. It'll be fine there.
Okay, just for some knowledge, it is the highway. If there was the railroad track, just keep in mind, there's no setback. He could have just put it right on the border. But because it's the highway, I guess different rules, it's a 10-foot setback. So Chris, what do you think about that building for a variance?
So you're talking about the 3 feet from the highway? Is that the variance right there?
That's not from the highway. That's
It's from the border. Yeah, it's
The property line.
The property line.
And then the other way, 13 and 3 inches.
It
Is-
complies. The other one
Now,
complies.
the other one complies.
Right.
I guess I got no comments on it right now.
All right, Richard, what do you think of that?
Fine with it.
Very good. Jake, what do you think of that?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. So I think this is for us, the board pretty good with that variance. Now, the biggest variance, we wanna let the counselor walk us through it again, and let's talk about the solarium variances. And Counselor, I want you to iterate, make sure, and maybe with the help of Mr. Mannix, that the height of the building without the solarium does not require variance. Am I saying that right, Mr. Mannix?
I'm sorry, the solarium does require a
The
variance.
solarium, but the building itself without the solarium complies, right?
The building itself, it was calculated by JC Engineering, using the existing grades. And the building itself, I believe, is at 36 feet at the top of the roof there, at where the top of the roof line is.
Okay,
Where
and
Brad has the pointer.
All right, and Brad, what's the height over there? What's the maximum? 35, is it?
35 or 40?
40 feet.
If you recall, Mr. Chairman, back when we were in person, do you remember that picture? And I believe it's in your materials online as well. It was a green, a yellow, and then kind of a red rendering of the building, right? So we saw that by right, that the green met the threshold. When you added on the solarium, that's where we're seeing.
Okay, right. All right, so my question right now, without the solarium, it does comply, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk, not that we're gonna decide, but let's get all educated about the solarium and about the variance to see, and let's see how the board feels about it. So, Councilor, you want to talk about it, or Mr. Mannix?
Well,
I just want to make one comment. Thank you, Fred. I think you have all that in your materials, and we discussed this initially regarding the statutory requirements. I can surely go through them. The site having the topography, the soil conditions, we discussed the interesting grade, and the need for this space. So I can go through the legality of each point on the variance, but I know Fred does, the client knows a lot about the solarium and the importance. So you can go ahead, Fred.
Well, with regard to the solarium, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I know I'd like to refresh everyone's memory on it. And the solarium itself, and you'll have to excuse me on the actual percentages, but it's a very small percentage of the roof area is the solarium, and that solarium is going to be maybe 6 feet, 7 feet above the 40-foot height limit. The thing that creates the kind of outstanding height limit, the more outrageous height limit, is the tower itself, which is a very small part of it. We feel that's a nice area where you get off the elevator to go to the solarium, assuming we can have a solarium. You get off the elevator, and it creates a nice big open space. It's kind of a focal point, and I think it's a nice focal point for the building from way down the road or from the highway, from Route 28. It's meant to the design intent, that I use that word a lot, is to have it like a church spire. It's something that sticks up. It's a very small part of the building, and I believe I have some percentages on the equipment, the application, and I also have some percentages on the drawing that Julian is referring to, that has the yellow and the green and the red. The red being the tower, which is the most penetrating part of the building. But I believe it's only about 3 or 4% of the roof area. And the solarium we've discussed before, I think it's especially as a convalescent care, even as a nursing home, or even as intermediate care. The reason we've taken a little bit of time on this thing is the building commissioner has felt that this should be an intermediate care center. He feels that what's allowed, he's not here tonight, but Julian has had a conversation with him directly, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the allowed use in this zone is nursing home, intermediate care, or convalescent care. Those are the uses that are listed. And by making this a care center, it's an intermediate care center. And we may have memory care. There may be some convalescent care in there. There may be some elderly, I shouldn't use the word elderly housing, but there's some nursing care. It all depends on the levels of medical attention that people need. And we anticipate using this facility in that manner. And this is where the parking comes in. If you use the parking ratio for nursing home, it comes down to like 30 cars are required, 33 cars. But didn't want to change that. I didn't want to change the visitor parking outside, the ambulance parking, none of that. So we left it at 60 parking spaces. And I think that's one of the reasons it took a little while because of COVID, to get together with the building commissioner, discuss the thing with them. And part of the reason you don't have a full set of plans now from the architect is we had to make some changes. Obviously, quite frankly, he didn't want to see the word assisted living on the drawings, because it's not an assisted living center, it's an intermediate care center. So
that's fine. Let it be
okay.
intermediate. The solarium, I know it's a variance. I put my 2 cents for it. I think you won't even see it from the road because it's such a smaller area, but it's a must, especially for elderly people or older people. I mean, I'm one of them. I would like to see some sun in the summer and the winter going up there. I think it's a plus for it. I know it requires a variance, but I think it adds a lot for a project like this. That's my personal view. It doesn't mean anything. I guess I need 3 people with me on the board to agree on that. And I don't think it's very detrimental at all, because it's not invasive. It's going to be a roof, and it's such a small area you won't even see it. But I'm gonna again pass to the board and see what they think. I'm gonna start with Jim. Jim, what do you think?
I think I've pretty much telegraphed my opinion that I'm not only in favor of the solarium. I really hope internally that the solarium the variance is granted. I think it's a great amenity. I want to use the term forced perspective. When you walk down Main Street USA in Disneyland or Disney World, they change the height of the buildings to make them look taller. In this instance, we could use forced perspective in reverse. The way it's set back from the edge of the roof, and again, using the angle and the fence, that little fence to keep people from jumping off the roof because the wheelchair is stuck. That's 4 feet. That's at the 40-foot height. And then you set it back and you cut the angle. I have absolutely no problem with the solarium. Again, like I said, I just hope we can come to a consensus where we allow it, because I can envision being in a facility like that, and what a nice amenity that would be.
All right, very good. Richard, what do you think, Richard?
Well, I kind of thought we were on the right road where Mr. Mannix was saying that the trees would hide it and basically make the building go away. I know that there's some concern with the other board members about the height on it, and it would just, I know you want to stick to that, but it seems to me, for all the trouble and all the discussion that we've had about it, I understand that you think it's like nice looking, this, that, and the other thing, but I see a lot of other windows on the right side of the solarium. I think there's a lot of light that's going to be let in there, and it just seems to me that for this whole project, it would just, if you did away with it, we wouldn't even be talking about it, and make everything easier. That's what I have to think about it.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Jake, what do you think?
I really like the solarium. If this is a place I was going to go, if I was an older person, that's something that I think would be great for people. They can't get around a lot, so it's a place they can get away to with, without having to go far. So I really do like that for sure. I think without it, it would look very boring, and it wouldn't be a place that I would want to go or send my grandparents to. They just shut down a place in Wareham, a nursing home. So we need a place like this, and this is a really nice place. Eventually it will get there.
Okay, very well. Now keep in mind, Mr. Sample sits on this matter. If Veronica comes back next time on the Mullen Road, she could re-engage in the hearing and she hasn't missed a hearing on that, so she'll be voting, but I'll take Mr. Conti's comment on it in case she doesn't show up next time.
Sure.
Chris, what do you think?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, Jim, we're not in Disney World. We're in Wareham. And anyway.
Too bad Wareham couldn't be compared. I can't imagine a place I'd much prefer to be compared to.
And so the variance, I guess they're asking for 40 foot is permitted, and we got like 69 foot, I guess, is what they're asking for. So they're asking a variance for 29 feet in height. To me, that seems like kind of high. I love the idea of the solarium. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great. I think it'd be great for older people and all that. I'd like to see them lose a floor and bring the whole unit down. That's my comments on it.
Let me, where is the 69 feet, Mr. Mannix? Is that tower?
The way the town of Wareham calculates, they don't use the average on the gable. They use the highest point of a roof. So that where Brad is putting that hand, that's the height. That's 69 feet at the very top of the tower. Yes.
Okay, if you go down to the plates, what do you got there? How high is that? What's the pitch on that, Brad?
It's almost a 45-degree pitch. So I can't. It's probably 10 feet high. You know, I wanted it to look like a steeple. That's why it's like that. It's not a flat roof. It kind of hides the elevator over travel. All that stuff is behind it. And when you're inside, I believe we have submitted a drawing or a rendering showing the inside of that space. I think it would be a nice gathering spot for people. You know, COVID, as far as I'm concerned, I heard on the radio that it went away on the 30th. But if it ever comes back, that's a great spot for people for fresh air and you know, to gather. It's kind of hard to find a gathering spot with an 8-foot ceiling in these conditions with all these viruses and stuff going around. And I thought that'd be a good spot for people to meet and greet and gather.
Well, I hope it doesn't come back. But anyway, I guess a variance, the bottom line is, I mean, if it's a special permit and we say we need 5-foot opening, 10-foot opening, you bring a 5 and 10-foot opening and we have to give it to you. I guess a variance is a matter of opinion. I mean, if you get 4 votes, you get the 4 votes. If you don't, you're out of luck. So that being said, I guess right now it looks like you have 3. And if Veronica comes in, we don't know which way she's going, apparently. Hopefully next time your argument will carry. Right now, it looks like it's carrying with me, Jim, and Jake. Richard and Chris is not sure. So that's definitely we're gonna argue it again next time.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question about this?
Yes.
If I wouldn't be out of line, when I looked at the information that had been submitted previously, as I recall it, there was a letter from Attorney Nancy Angus.
Yes.
And citing some issues with the variance. And I was wondering if Ms. Morton had a chance to look at that letter and if she had any comments about it.
Yeah, I believe that was submitted. Let's see the date. I'm just looking through materials online.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago.
Right, it was quite a while ago. I haven't heard her speak on here. I mean, if they want a presentation regarding the full variance on the height, I'd be happy to do that. I would prefer to do that with Ms. Devanese present, so I could kind of speak on that next time, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, absolutely. I do recall Mrs. Angus coming here for she commented and she was against the variance. And
claim was against the hardship, which is obviously one of the
right. I mean, apparently, definitely she can exercise her right and appeal under Section 17 of 40A and appeal the variance. We hope if the board grants the variance, it doesn't go that way. But if it gets appealed, apparently, we don't know what happens, whether if it's get remanded to us or get denied or upheld, who knows? So we'll see what happens, play it by ear. So what are we sending the applicant with tonight? So apparently we need drainage calc and for Mr. Rowley to look and Mr. Rowley to look at the site plan. We need very, very detailed architectural plan for next time. Maybe you could play with that whatever you call it, the roof for the variance. I don't know, cut it down a little bit, make it flat. I know, I like the gable, I like the hip
Yeah.
area, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, you have three people, if you need to gain one vote, maybe, I don't know how you can play with it, whatever you have to do. It's
Yeah.
like
Well-
like I said, the variance, if the board, if you get two no, is a no. So, and if it goes to court, most likely you will lose, unfortunately, for in this matter for you. So let's see what you could do is have your architect play with that. I know Ms. Devenese last time, she recommended that you put the solarium in the middle of the top floor. I don't know if that's feasible for you, if numbers work. But let's see some more details planned for next time. And before we send you away, is anyone, the board members, want to add anything before Mr.
One more
Maddox?
comment from me.
What's up, buddy?
One more comment from me
Go ahead, Jim.
regarding, obviously we got 4 stories before the would-be roof with a solarium on top of it, but we look at the portion of it that has the hip roof, but then on the left side of the screen, the whole structure follows right to the end of the building, and it's not, I'm sure it's stepped back from our face, but it's not stepped back from the end. And I'd say that it would make, again, talking about perspective and the angle of the line of sight, I think that end might be well served to be chopped back 10 or 15 feet or 7 or whatever the setback, yeah, where he's got the hand right now. That just kind of follows right up, and that's the building look massive on that end. I'm thinking that would be, if I'm looking at this right, I'm thinking that would probably be the west end of the building. That would be the Plymouth Avenue end of the building, and that may draw a lot of opposition if that's right to the gable end. If it was stepped back a bit, again, we'd have that forced perspective.
Well, if I make a comment on that, I understand what you're saying, and I'll take a look at that. That's one of the reasons I want to come before the board. We're prepared to make a presentation. I could make some changes to that. That area was done for a little. I think there's a little kid. Pardon me.
I recall it was for a
Yeah.
gathering area, so they could and they could have a function or something up there.
Yeah, an area, like a lot of these facilities require, people to come in visiting, like, I think we talked about it one time, having a place to have your hair done or something like that, a barber shop or a beauty parlor. But, I can understand what you're talking about, and that's something that would take down some of that mass.
Off of that.
Yeah, it would take the mass off of the top. I'd hate to look, first of all, it's not a money thing. It'd be cheaper to put the solarium in the 4th floor, but it wouldn't work as a solarium. It just wouldn't be, with the landscaping, you got 25-foot trees, 30-foot trees in the front. You can't have, you want the solarium to be sticking up in the air in the sun. That's the whole idea of it. If it's buried somewhere in the building, it doesn't work as a solarium. It just works as a big exercise room. The other thing is with the tower, I'll take a look at that, what you're talking about, and that'll take away some of the mass. If you had to, thank you, Ken. Those rooms aren't really necessary. The bathroom is, it'd be nice to have the bathroom there in the back, but maybe we could make that a lot smaller and have a head house for a second means of egress from the roof. That's another reason it was stretched down there. If you look, there's a set of stairs. There's a second Charlie Rowley pointed out means of egress in the garage. There are means of egress in the garage, but this shows a set of stairs going down into the lobby and then a set of stairs going into the north stairwell. So we could handle that. I think you're required to have something. If you have any people outside on the roof and the deck, you're required to have a second means of egress from the roof. So we have a little door, as you see right behind the bathrooms, where there's an ingress from the roof deck to go to that stairwell. That could be very easily handled with a head house back there. You know what I mean? Just a piece to cover so you don't get any water in the stairwell. And maybe if that's it does create more mass above the 40-foot allowed height. And that could be something. I would really like to see the solarium and maybe that, if you're looking at that drawing, the kitchenette and the obviously the two bathrooms, not have them in the lobby. I like to keep the lobby wide open because it's a good looking thing. And I think it's a nice, it makes the building look a little bit better from a distance. And then the solarium, obviously, it's there for health reasons. It's there
You
for
got
people.
3 activity rooms there. You might be able to get by with 1 or 2, and you might be able, like you said, make a head.
Right, that's, you make it a lot smaller. I agree with you, and it would just have a door going across like a roof deck you wouldn't even see for people to go to a second means of egress.
Yep.
Richard, Mr. Maddox, go ahead.
So the whole idea of the head house to begin with, I mean, the solarium, is that you got the elevator in that area, and the elevator always needs extra travel past the floor, like it just doesn't stop. So
Right.
that's the main reason you're trying to keep the elevator in that spot and accommodate all that area in, right?
Yeah, I mean, the tower kind of swallows up the elevator, yes. I mean, you got the elevator over travel, which isn't counted in the height, that always sticks up. And I figured since something's sticking up there anyhow, am I making a feature in that tower? If you look at the square where it says lobby, that's what I'm talking about, the tower. And you see the 2 elevators in that drawing. And the solarium is a wing off the tower, and the bathrooms and that little kitchenette, that it could be cut off at that point. It wouldn't affect anything. I have room in the building to accommodate some of the other stuff. So that drawing that shows a cut off tower. That's because the drawing came out that way. It doesn't show the peak. So this is how quick I am. I've got this whole thing redrawn for you as we speak. But no, the architect, her rendering, it chopped off. But the other that peak is supposed to go. I don't think it would look that bad if we did something like that. It would take, what, 4 feet off of it. I don't think it would matter in the height, quite frankly.
That would help.
Yeah, well.
Richard, let me ask you something. Fred, I keep on you, Richard. Fred, what's the height? What do you have? In full 8-foot ceilings on these floors?
Yes.
You have 8.
So 8 times 4 is 36.
8 times 4, 32.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
36, sorry.
All right, what? Now I'm gonna agree with you no matter what.
8 times 4 is 32. Plus the 1-foot joist, right?
Right.
So 36.
Yeah.
And plus you have a couple of feet.
It's yeah, there's the elevation.
Yeah. 34 feet, 47.
Yeah, she's got 66 feet for the tower roof. I thought it was 69. I could have made a mistake, but I'll check into that.
We gained 3 feet there, you chop another 3.
Well, yeah, no, well, you know, if there's an error there, that she might have lowered that down a little bit. That's why I say the tower, it might have been a little bit higher. Again, I'm not making, you know, if you go a couple of feet at that peak, to me, doesn't make a lot of difference as long as it visually it looks good. But you know, that's just me talking. As you can see on that elevation, the height of the solarium roof is 47 feet, so it's 7 feet higher than the allowed use. If we cut the tower off completely, I don't think that would be a big deal, but I don't think it would look as nice when you get off the elevator. It's just kind of a feature. It's nice up there. It's got some windows in it. It's a nice place to gather. Not everybody is going to sit in the solarium. There are people that will like to sit around and stay out of the sun. So that'd be a nice spot.
Let's see what for next hearing I mean, if the board more lenient for you to take it off and stay at the 47, they give the variance, I guess that's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah, well, whatever.
If not, and they might say no for the whole thing as a variance, but we go from there. So let's play it by ear till next time. In the meantime, for the site plan, I recommend that you file with the state. If JC Engineering should start filing for a curb cut, because this is a good 90 to 120 days at least. And this way we know which way we're going. Are we getting 1 cut, 2 cuts, 50-foot radius, 30-foot radius? So that's something you probably should start doing. Don't you agree?
Well, it's a process, Mr. Chairman, that if you start it, I have HSH, Howard Stein and Hudson is my traffic engineer. And I've engaged them to go to the second step. To get a curb cut with the state is a much longer process than 90 days.
Yeah,
You have to do a full traffic study and a whole plan for that. That's a whole nother issue. The traffic study, it took a while to get there because we wanted to make sure that we had the use under control. So in other words, he has to know to do a traffic study that the plan is pretty well done, and now it is. The use has to, I can't tell him, I got to tell him what the use is. So it's an intermediate care center. And I've asked him to also analyze what the traffic would be for the other three, the other two uses that are allowed there, convalescent use and for nursing home. I'm sure nursing home would be a lot less requirement than all of them, but I asked him to do that. And he's in the process of that. I should have that. I hope I have it within the next 2 weeks. I don't know when's the next board meeting. I should have it before the next board meeting. I'll have all the drawings. If I get the flavor of this site plan, that if you haven't asked me to do anything to change the site plan, certainly not to change the drainage calculations. So I think I'm prepared to submit those. If Charlie would like it, I can submit them in advance to him, because that's what he's looking at. But if you'd like to see the other drawings, as you can see from the drawings you have on your screen, everything says assisted living. And that all has to be, that's not what the commissioner wants to see on the drawings.
Right. I would say submit your plan. We gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I can submit the plans. I don't know, in the next 3 or 4 days. I'll have my architect make sure that everything is correct. I'll look at the 66 feet, make sure that that's correct.
Yeah,
And
submit your stormwater and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Work on
Okay.
your architect. I mean, we gotta really start moving on that project.
Okay, right. Well, I don't want to do it piecemeal. I have an impact statement based upon what I heard tonight that I'm gonna, complete, and we'll have it all into you as soon as possible. Hopefully in the next week to 10 days. You got to have some time to look at it. I think the board has had some time to look at the plans. Charlie hasn't had time to look at all the plans, but I'll get them to him as soon as possible. I can get you. You're here on the Zoom meeting, Charlie. If you want me to, I can submit the civil drawings to you first.
No, I already have them. I picked up a large set today at
Oh, did you?
the town hall. So I have that, and a PDF of the drainage calculations were sent to me.
Okay, all right.
One thing that I remember though, and I don't see that on the plan because I haven't had a chance to really look.
Yeah.
Where's your sewer connection going?
It's on the utility plan, and what's happening is we're going to have a force main going up Sandwich Road to Brad, help me out. What's that?
Tony's Lane?
Not Tony's Lane. No, we're going up to the next manhole. There's a manhole further up.
Well, that's going to be in the state highway, will it not? So you're going to need permit to do that as well?
It'll be in the state highway, or I don't know if we can put it in the town way in the sidewalk. I don't know. It's only a 2 or 3 inch main.
Yeah, but that's a state highway there. That's Route 6.
Yep.
So if you're going to need curb cuts for the entrance, you're probably going to have to get them to approve any cut across the pavement. It looked to me quickly that there was a force main that was running right across the street. So just make sure you include that. And if there's any other details that are not included in your civil set right now, that does need to be submitted so we can take a look at it. Because I assume that'll be something that will have to go to the sewer commissioners as well, or at least to Guy Campina.
Well, Guy's aware of, we gave him a concept plan. Brad, maybe you can, I think you did that one, so you can comment on it.
Well, it's got to the point where it needs to be the detail plan now.
Well, you definitely, as Charlie's saying, you definitely want to include it with your permit when you do your curb cut. I would include gas connection, electrical, I would include water, because any of those, you're gonna need a state permit to do it. So I would do them all at once.
Well,
so it doesn't delay you.
Well, yes, But I think what I'd like to do is make sure that we have a project before we apply to the state. I think they're gonna ask me if I have permission to build a building there. So that's one of the things. I realize there's a lot of submittals that have to take place. I can't get a building permit without any of those things. And if I
Right.
can't get a building permit, the building can't be built.
Right.
I agree with you, and I hear you, we're working on it, but quite frankly, I don't feel that I should be doing something that based upon maybe happening. If we can, the board has to decide and review the site plan. The town has to tell me if I can get permission to not to build a building, but permission to apply to build a building. And
Right.
I think that we've already done this. We've kind of done some of this backwards, Charlie. I admit it's not standard, but there's a lot riding on it. And we've been very cooperative with the Wareham Fire Department. It took a long time to go back and forth a bit with them at the last minute, and nothing against Chris Smith. He's decided, can you put another fire hydrant in? And I said, sure. That's all. It's just, we had to change the plan to show the new fire hydrant. It wasn't a big deal. I don't know what, I think probably you guys overcharged me to put the new fire hydrant in, but that's okay. We put it in. And so I think we're at a point where the fire department is satisfied. I hope Plymouth, the people on Plymouth Road they're not here tonight, but I haven't forgotten them. I hope they're satisfied that I removed the parking back there so that nobody is even tempted to use it. They have to go around the building just to go out Plymouth Road. I don't know why anybody would do that, but we'll put signage on there. And then I think that I'd like to have a feel, and if I can do the variances, that's one thing. If I can't do the variances, I'm gonna have to try to proceed without them, and I still need the site plan approval.
Right.
The variance, by the way, was Angus was concerned about the side lot variance, and I can't for the life of me see why, but that's her opinion and my opinion. The side lot variance, we're not asking for side lot variance for the main building. It's just for the maintenance building. And I think putting the maintenance building there and improving that whole area would probably benefit her more than anything, because all the water that comes down off that hill travels towards her property. So if we can intercept some of it with the drainage there, I think she'll be better off. But that's just my opinion.
All right, again, that's the board what decides on that variance.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we're going the right direction. I just remember something. You're right about the state. The state's not gonna take your application until you get an approval from us. Just in the new, if you revise the plan, put a sign like exit only emergencies on Plymouth Road, and just have Brad update that, and let's play until next time, I guess, and we'll go from there. And Charlie will have some answers for us next time, and hopefully you have some architecture plans. We'll go from there and discuss them more. And hopefully Mr. Benitez is back. If not, I guess Mr. Conte will carry on that hearing. And that being said, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, before you close this hearing for tonight, do I have permission to contact JC Engineering directly if I have any issues for
Absolutely.
engineering stuff? Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll do that.
Just don't talk to them too long, please, Charlie. They're charging me by the hour.
Well, I can't guarantee how long it'll be, but it will certainly it'll shorten up the procedure if we get things straightened out ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
You haven't even started the spending. All right, so that being said, is the board okay? We continue this public hearing the 23rd?
I have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
yes, go ahead.
This says that the site plan review variance is due by June 19th.
Okay, so we're gonna need a, Mr. Counselor, she's gonna you have to give us a written notice for the decision.
When would you like to continue that to, Mr. Chairman?
I would do 23rd, I would do let's shoot to July, give it to July 22nd.
Okay.
All right, July 22nd. And we'll
Just
go
before my birthday.
And we'll make a party. Bring the cake. All right. That being said, can we get a motion to continue this matter to 23rd?
So moved.
We have a motion by Jim to continue on 23rd. I have a second. Okay, I'll second that. Second to continue. All in favor, say aye. Jim?
Aye.
Chris,
No.
Richard? I can't hear you, Richard.
Aye.
Continue, Jake?
Aye.
And myself, I, it carries. So we continue until June 23rd. We'll see you guys then.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, will that be in person? Did I hear you guys?
Yeah,
say-
yeah, that's
Think
it.
so, yeah.
After, I guess after this hearing, this is our final one. Enjoy the Zoom.
Is there central air now?
Oh, here we go.
No, they have
Permanent?
AC in the window. I think the same place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Multi-service center, right? Yeah, we
Yes,
have the
it is.
ACs on the window.
Room 320.
Room 320, same place like before. All right, very well. And,
thank you.
okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. Ken, do we have any other business to discuss? Are we good?
Hey, you're good.
We're good. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, our very last meeting, and hopefully we'll never go back under these conditions to Zoom meeting. Hopefully we'll go back for fun if we have to, not because of virus. And it was tough, but I guess we get through it like every time. And hopefully these things will never happen again. It was real hard for everyone. People lost people, lives, friends, everything. And hopefully things go for the better and prosper and everything will be fine. And we don't have to do this again on Zoom. And with that being said, we have a motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes, sir.
Second by Richard. All in favor to close, say aye. Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Richard?
Go Bruins. Aye.
Go Bruins. Yes, yes. They did
Down
good.
1-0. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. And myself, aye. And thank you all very much. And we'll see you next time at Town Hall, January 23rd at 6:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.